And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline. Before we get the show started, I always like to talk about if you guys have any strange encounters, any strange experiences. Um, Man, shoot me a message. You can find me on Facebook. Of course, my email is beyond.woodline@gmail.com. And man, let's get together and talk. You don't have to come on the show. I'd appreciate it if you do, but if you want to talk privately, I'm fine with that too. Um, I won't think you're too crazy. I mean, I'm into all this weird stuff too. So, I hope you guys can feel comfortable talking to me about it. And with that being said, my guest tonight is Tricia Brown. Tricia, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just got here in time. So
That's
my
good.
hair
You
is
know, you ever,
wet and I didn't get to blow dry it, but that's okay. I'm happy to be talking
yeah,
to you and talking to you in person. Yeah.
yeah, man, we had a pretty good conversation the other night or the other evening, whatever. It was a good
Yeah.
conversation. I really enjoyed it. We probably could have talked for more if we, wanted to, and
Oh yeah,
being able to chat
I
with
can
you.
talk for days about all
Yeah,
sorts of paranormal and, interesting topics.
yeah, yes. The same here. I'm usually the guy at the party. People come up and ask about weird stuff. Whether it be family and friends. There's always somebody who wants to pull me aside and tell me a crazy story. So
Okay, by the way, right now, this is one thing when I do like a podcast like this where we're talking to each other live. I never know where to put my eyes. Like I'm looking at you right now,
right.
and does that make my eyes look like they're looking off into outer space? Or should I be looking at myself? Or do I look up at the little camera? Which is the best? What do you
I
do?
don't know. I look at you. So
Oh, okay, okay. Well, then, yeah,
yeah,
you look like you don't look weird, so you look
okay.
fine.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment, I guess. Yeah. Um, yeah. So having talking to you, man, it was really cool. Chatting with you is really cool. And when I asked for your bio, and you sent me this extremely long bio, it was really cool looking at it and reading it. You've got quite a resume, and it's pretty impressive actually.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
yeah, it really is. But
I just wanted to say, wanted to, I guess, convey that it's diverse.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
we all are diverse. We all have had, well, not, I don't know what everybody's life is like, but you progress, you grow, you do this for a while and you do that
Right.
for a while. And, you have different interests and, you know, so I like putting those specific things because they they tie in together with everything that
Yeah.
has to do with the interests in the paranormal realm and the spiritual realm and the Sasquatch people realm. So I mean, I could say that I'm into gardening, but I don't, that doesn't really have anything to do with this topic. So,
Maybe on some levels, you never know. Yeah,
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 I want to
yeah.
hear a little bit about your background.
Well, um, I mainly research Bigfoot. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to go out and do. I wanted to go out this weekend. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I want to get out tomorrow. At least spend one night out in the woods.
Okay.
But
Do you
yeah. But
camp? Like, do you car camp? Do you backpack? What's your way of spending out in the woods?
there's a couple of areas that we go to. They're not campgrounds. They're like out in the middle of the woods,
Okay.
and those are the areas that I like to be at and actually set up my tent and camp and have a little
Okay.
my little campfire. And the best results that I have found is just acting like a regular camper, and that's when we get most of our activity, I think.
Do you use
Um,
a fire pit and like have a fire or no?
yeah, yeah. We have a fire that we have, built ourselves. It's not the fire pit per se, but it's a campfire.
Okay.
Um, we'll set up recorders at different locations, not necessarily near us, even though we
Mhm.
we have at from time to time we'll set up recorders near us. We'll set up game cams. I know you're probably never going to catch anything on the game cam, but we do that anyway. Um, but
There's
yeah,
the occasional, when you see certain clips when people show different clips of like some really unusual things caught on the game cam.
Right.
Some of it is total crap, made up. But you do see some things that are legit, like
Right.
eyes, the eye shine.
I
I've
shine.
seen a
Right.
couple of the eye shine. I recently was looking back through my previous videos and pictures, um, and I got to when I was in Montana in
Mhm.
2020. I lived there for 6 months, and for about 4 months, I stayed at this RV park that is like a minute to the border of Canada,
Okay.
is that close. So it's an amazing location, pretty remote, this little town, Eureka, Montana.
Okay.
And I was able to borrow a camper trailer, and I lived in that at this RV park. And it was during the time when it was the quarantine, so the border was closed.
Okay.
So a lot of the people who stayed at this RV park were the Canadians, so they could not get there. So it was completely empty. I was the only one there. Even the owners were not there.
Right.
So I think that I'm gonna say, like, beginning of July is when I started living there, and I was in heaven. I was like, "This is amazing. This is so fun." I felt super safe. The stars were amazing, the air quality. I mean, no one was there, so I felt just in this amazing, I don't know, I felt like I was in a dream. It was just a really
Mhm.
fun thing to be able to have all that line up for me to be able to do that. I had my dog with me and my parrot,
Mhm.
and so I decided to make a fire pit, because I asked you about the fire because, I've had people ask me about fire, like when you're out and about, do you want to be tuned into the surroundings so much that you don't even want to hear the sound of the fire crackling because you want to be able to hear all the sounds around you?
Right.
Or do you just want to have your own fire for you and, to see if it attracts them? These different
Right.
ways to do research and experiment, right?
Right.
So I decided I wanted to make my own fire pit. So I went and gathered. Fire is an element. As far as what, like as far as I guess them attracting them, I guess is what they mean.
Right.
Um, so okay, so I gathered rocks and I made my own fire pit, and I was really proud of it.
Mhm.
And part of my background is learning how to do fire ceremony. And so I had been thinking to myself, um, oh, I get, okay, yeah, like water. I get you. Yes, right. Okay. Um, so I was going to do some of my own fire ceremony, and I was really enjoying myself out there. So I was feeling really good. I was in such high vibrational emotions. I was in just amazement that I was getting to do this. Okay.
Right.
So I got a little fire going, and my dog is sitting off to the right of the fire pit, a little distance away. And I decided to film um, my fire pit and the fire. It was pitch black out, and so I must have not listened, or I mean, I must have not watched the replay of my video at all. I don't remember watching it until like a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
And when I saw it, I could not believe my eyes. So I'm in the it's like 30 seconds or 36 seconds or something, this video, and I'm just kind of panning around at the fire pit. It's totally black outside. You can't see hardly anything. You see the fire in the fire pit, you see the fire pit, and then kind of move it away from the fire so it gets really dark. I can see my dog Lucy a little bit. I see her eyes, I see her outline. And then I pan back to the fire, and then I'm kind of scrolling around like this a little bit. And I saw two eyes staring at us, staring at me, like it's eye shine.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. How did I not see this?
Right.
Okay. And in my, when you have your own experience, okay, before you have the experience, you can think about it. You could decide, how do I want to experiment with this?
Right.
Right. And so I remember having a conversation saying to somebody, like, if I'm going to go out and purposefully do something like tune into the forest, I do not want to have a fire, because I don't want the sound of the fire blocking out anything else. That was what I was thinking before this experience. Okay. And I had heard people say that you will sometimes catch the eye shine because they'll come close to the fire. But
Right.
I hadn't had my own experience. But I'm going to tell you now that I see this being standing like 6 feet from me,
Yeah.
just standing there, and clearly okay with that. I was filming. Obviously, their abilities are, I'm going to say that they're a combination of flesh and blood, supernatural, and paranormal. There's these aspects to them. So their abilities are really beyond the norm.
Right.
So I'm just saying that this being, like a big thing to me is, we were talking about spirits on our conversation on the phone.
Right.
We're talking about spirits. We've had experience. We've both have had experiences. We were talking about that. And something that I'm really into is studying and understanding the different levels of spirit, the different meaning, like the lower vibrational, and then it raises higher and higher and higher, the vibration, the level of spirit,
Right.
the level of consciousness. It goes from, the lowest vibrational energies, which I want nothing to do with.
Right.
And so then, the understanding, the correlation of like energy is drawn to like energy. And if it's similar, it's a harmonious experience. It's a good experience. Meaning, like, so I was saying I was feeling pretty good with my experience out there. I was in heaven. I was just feeling wonderful.
Right.
Like I hit the jackpot. I have this allowing to borrow this trailer and getting to stay in this amazing RV park. And the scenery was mind blowing. Okay. So, and I had been having experiences. I had many experiences this 6 months. And then leading up to the 6 months, I was having experiences with the Sasquatch people. And hello, Wolf Haunts Paranormal. Hello. So I say that because I want to just express that this being standing there, I feel honored. I feel honored. I feel thankful that this being wanted to participate with us around the fire. I felt completely comfortable and at ease. Okay.
Right.
So there's the correlations of that. In my experience, all my experiences, they've been pretty great. And, you know, maybe, I don't know, like when you said that they won't get detected on game cams.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some footage of, maybe they're not game cams, but they look like it, where it's just sort of sitting there, and then you see a row of trees, and then these eyes poking out
Right.
from behind the tree, that. So it obviously knows I'm holding up my phone doing this, and it just stood there. It
Mhm.
allowed itself to let me film the eyes.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
And
I'm
I've seen,
still blown away.
right. Yeah. And I've seen people who've caught stuff like that with their, their phones or their cameras or their trail cams, um, lots of eye shine, for sure. I've seen lots of that. And I've seen that with my naked eye, eye shine. Um, but
Yeah,
but regardless, I'm always going to put my trail cam out there. You
yeah.
never know. So like the weirdest thing, I've never caught like a Bigfoot on my trail cam, but I've caught like hogs and deer and stuff like that, of course. But one time, I uh, I caught like a little mist. It looked like smoke.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't
Oh, yeah.
know. Yeah, but it didn't look dense on the picture, but it definitely set the camera off.
How high up off the ground was it?
That camera was at least 5 feet off the ground because I usually put it like right about.
I mean, the mist.
It it'd be hard to judge, but I would say it was maybe 6 feet. You know,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it was it was off the top of the picture and it went below the picture. So and that's I don't know if it was anything paranormal or not, but I think a lot of paranormal activities out in the woods in the forest and it gets lumped in there with Bigfoot. Especially when it comes to people hearing footsteps or hearing voices or having stuff thrown at them or what have you. So I think there's a lot of paranormal activity that goes on in the woods and people just
Oh,
don't
yeah. Oh,
snap
yeah.
to it. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I say sometimes when I describe some of my experiences, I say, could this be like, I mean, I go to places where there's also, where the ancient people lived, meaning the Native American people, where they lived. And I've been, learning how to have really good interaction with spirits,
Mhm.
and what's called the helping spirits, just in general, like making sure that I've done my own inner work so that I am going to be only participating in
Mhm.
the higher realms.
Right.
And so when I speak out loud to the space, or when I've described some of my experience, I say it could be, maybe it's a Native American spirit, or maybe it is a Sasquatch, or maybe it's, something else, but yeah. So I know what you're saying. It could be some other, it doesn't necessarily have to be that it's Sasquatch, right? That's what you're saying.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was something I wanted to tell you. I hate to get off the subject, but
It's okay.
we were talking my about my journey, and how I've over the last couple of years, actually it's closer to 3 years now that I've started, doing the meditation thing. Um, the night that we were on the phone, or the evening we were on the phone, and then we were texting the next morning. I wanted to tell you a story, but I wanted to wait till tonight to actually tell you. So that night that we talked, I I came in the house and I was alone. I was meditating, and I had this weird vision. Okay, and what it was going down a road. I was, in a car, sitting in the car, I guess, because I could see the road kind of winded like that. And there was people looking for a lost boy in the woods.
Really.
And yeah, so when I got to the area where they were looking for the boy, I remember somebody coming out and saying, "Hey, we found them," and then I just out of it. You know, but yeah, it was
Wow.
yeah, it was maybe I don't know 5 6 seconds. It wasn't like extremely long, but I wanted to tell you that and get your reaction to that. You know,
So that was okay. So, well, I mean, as far as technically, what you were having is, one of your, the inner senses where you were seeing like a flash of like a movie strip sort of
right,
play out, right?
right,
Yeah, and it was quick.
right.
So, I mean, that's for you to decipher.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, that's the most, part of our own journey, each of our journey. Hi, Irene. Each of our journey with translating or
okay,
um, what's interpreting. That
right,
was for you
yeah,
to figure out what that is for sure.
yeah,
So that's where you could maybe ask, say, I need some more, information. Like, what is this meaning? You know, oh, wow, Irene, where are you at? That it's morning for you. You're on the other side of the world.
yeah, yeah. So one of the things I did right away is I probably should have asked, right? But I was trying to determine if it was something in the past, present, or the future, right? And I just really feel that it was uh, in the future. I mean, in the
Oh,
present. So,
wow. Well,
wow,
oh my God,
yeah.
amazing.
Thanks a lot, Irene. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for listening.
All the way from
Okay,
Tulsa.
Irene, I
Yeah,
want to know, what is your interest in the paranormal?
yeah,
Where's your interest? Is it in the Sasquatch, or is it in spirits, or what? I want to hear. I want to know. Tell me.
mhm, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I would say that it's probably present
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I know when I was at my beginning of meditation for the purpose of wanting to know what my abilities were, because we have our, five physical senses, and
right,
then we have our inner senses. And so part of my beginnings of purposefully sitting still to meditate, quieting my mind, was I wanted to know what different abilities I had. And so I would start having glimpses like you're describing. Like, I remember sitting still meditating, and I all of a sudden, it was as if I was in an airplane or like a Cessna, and I was
mhm,
flying. I was above the trees, and I was looking at the view like a drone would, or you know what I'm saying, like, or a
yeah,
helicopter looking over the above the tree line.
mhm,
So I was like, why am I seeing that all of a sudden, um and then at that time, I'm a medium, and I talk to spirits and help them if I can. They come to me and I feel their presence. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for telling us that, because I do want to talk a little bit about that when we get done with this, because um I feel very passionate about getting to be able to, if there ever is a chance to be able to help a spirit move on, or do something to help them in some way, or acknowledge them, or whatever, I will do that. I think we all should learn how.
mhm,
I think we all should learn how to help. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that should be the next um phase in this development of not just, I mean, it just seems pretty obvious that the people of us that obviously know that there are spirits. So we kind of maybe should get past the feeling of needing to prove it and have all this equipment to prove it, and that, the understanding that these are human beings, that if we can help them all, or as much as, there's many, if we can help them, then it'll help raise the vibration, it'll help them continue on with their journey, and I think that's, we're helping each other to progress along. But okay, so I just want to say that really quick. Okay, so so that day that I had the vision of the flash of like a movie strip play out, of me seeing the tops of this forest, I sat still for a little bit, wondering, why was I seeing that? And then all of a sudden I got the answer. It was like I was receiving the answer that, go for a hike. Like, I was needing to, because being out in nature, going for a hike, expressing my energy is helpful to me.
mm,
So so tuning in to find out what was that. And part of it too for me was showing me I have that ability. That's an ability that I have. I can see flashes of a movie strip play out. I can see flashes of an image. One time I saw a cross. My specialty is people who were killed and they are lingering, and I listen to them and help them cross over. I see children who were killed too. Not a fun time. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that, because are you probably you see them in that state, um, maybe. Well, I thank you for doing that though. That's a caring person. You're a caring
yeah,
person, and that's compassionate and caring, and they know that you are there to help them, and that's amazing that you do that. But yeah, that I don't want I wouldn't want to see scary images either. That's not not fun, I'm sure. I get it. So yeah, it's learning about that's the process in the development, in your psychic development and your inner senses development and your mediumship development, whatever is learning how to decipher or interpret what your symbols or what does it mean for you. So I feel like you could end up possibly being, if you develop this, maybe you could be a person that's helping people find missing people or, that kind of thing. What was the
mhm.
outcome of it
They,
that
yeah, yeah,
they found?
yeah, yeah. I remember seeing people coming out of the woods, and they were like, "We found him. We got him. He's over here." And I was like, "Yeah,
Wow.
yeah." And then I snapped out of it. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. I'm
Mm,
curious. I'm curious. You told me recently too that this figure has been you've been seeing this figure standing in your
okay.
room, right?
Yeah, yeah. When I meditate, and it's not something that happens all the time, but I've seen him. I don't know, maybe 5, 6 times, and he'll stand there and just watch. I don't know. He might just be standing. I don't know if he's watching, but I see him.
Yeah.
And he'll be like standing in the room.
And it's always in the same spot?
Um, he's always like to my right. Wherever
Okay.
yeah,
To
yeah,
your
'cause
right, in front of you?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like my 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's what I was kind of imagining actually. Okay.
yeah,
So, I mean, these are things to be, this is the kind of stuff, this is what you do. This is what you think about, this kind of
mhm,
putting it together. Like, could it correlate to that vision that you had?
yeah,
Could
yeah,
it be
and
somebody related to that? Or
right,
is this a spirit guide that comes to you when you're meditating and he wants you to learn who he is?
yeah.
And,
And it wasn't
definitely,
until the other day when you told me, ask him who he is. I was like, why did I never ask the guy? I just,
I know.
I'm like doing my thing, and I see him there. I'm like, well, he's not bothering me. I'm not going to
Yeah.
bother him. But next time he makes an appearance, I'll ask him who he is, and I'll ask him, what he
There's some
wants.
really great books out there called one's called Ask Your Guides. These
Mhm.
these people who teach the different types of spirit guides, the different types of spirit, understanding like learning so that you can, decipher. Um, you told me that there isn't like there's not a you feel more like it's a good feeling or a
Yeah,
neutral feeling that's that there isn't any like it doesn't produce in you a bad feeling
right. Yeah,
just
and
when you
I'm not
see.
scared or
Yeah,
anything, or like, or I'm not even freaked out. It's just like, okay, he's standing there.
yeah,
He's just there.
and you
Yeah.
don't it's not affecting your health in any way,
No.
and you're not starting to have, like, bad experiences in your
Yeah. Yeah.
life, and,
Yeah.
these are things, the correlations, like so you're saying that that's the only time you see him is when you've been meditating?
Right, and I do from time to time see stuff like out the corner of my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know sometimes we all see that, I guess, to a certain extent, but I see it quite a bit too. and so it
Is
always
it
makes
only
me,
out of the corner of your eye and then you look over and you can't see it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see glimpses like that, and
Mhm.
sometimes I'll even see like their shadows, so I know it's not all in my head. I guess yeah,
Mhm.
you know, yeah. It's been a pretty good journey, and I like it, and I wish I'd have done it a lot sooner, you know, and but it is what it is, and I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely learning more about myself, you know.
Good for you.
Yeah, you know, um,
You have to keep me up on that, though. I'm curious if you'll get more or if you'll just start having, like, what that yeah, I mean, I'm very curious as to what that's about. That's pretty significant,
yeah,
that
and,
experience.
and and like up until that, the only other experience I had as far as like a really good vision was, I think I told you, I remember like I was like going over a city. I could see the city below me, um, but it sounds weird. It didn't look like it was Earth, you know. I would it looked like a different,
No, that
totally
does not
different
seem
city.
weird to me.
Right. And but other than that, when I see stuff, it's usually like I'll see like shapes for whatever reason, squares and triangles and different colors like coming at me and going by my face, But those are the only like two really good visions that I've had. So I don't know what the city meant, but I saw that
Hmm,
one.
that's so s
That was.
what you're talking some of the stuff you're talking about is kind of it reminds me of my beginnings
Mhm,
of my development, where you just start seeing these different random it seems like random
right.
flashes of scenes and images and I'm just wondering, is it just your showing you that you what are your different abilities? Have you
Mhm.
been able to hear, like, have you heard any messages? Like
Yes,
okay,
yes. I heard a message, but I
mhm,
smell a lot of stuff too. So that's
okay.
kind of weird too. And
I
it's
that's
usually,
that's neat.
yeah, it's usually sweet, flowery kind of stuff.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's a good sign, that's
So
associated with higher vibration, or sometimes it's
so
associating with a family member or a friend.
so I was again, I was meditating and I heard a voice say, um, he said a girl's name. And he said, "She's gonna be fine. Don't worry about her." And I don't want to say the girl's name, but
It's okay, yeah.
um, so I went to one of my friends one day and I'm like, dude, I said, this weird thing happened because he told me that he hears voices, right? He's someone who died and came back, right? He's actually died twice at two different
Wow,
times in his life.
wow,
Like sometimes when people die twice, it's like the same night or whatever. He died twice, two different times in his life, and so when he comes back now, he hears voices.
okay,
And
mhm. That's
so
common that happens to people where
right,
they well, because it opens them up. It's like a spiritual awakening.
right. So I went to him because he was like the only person I knew that I could like talk to about this. I said, "Hey man," I said, "I heard this voice." I said, "I don't know what it meant, but since you hear voices and you tell me about it," I said, "I'm gonna tell you about it." He's like, "Okay, man, tell me." And I
Mhm.
told him it said, the girl's name, that she was gonna be okay and not to worry about her. Man, his eyes got that big. He goes, "Dude, that's my daughter." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's my daughter." He said, "We've been kind of worried about where she's gonna fit in her life. She's starting to go to high school and she wants to do sports and be in band and uh, she started talking about college already. He goes, so we're kind of worried about where her path is going to lead her to. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, well maybe that message was for you for
Oh
whatever
my
reason.
god, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so as you're saying that, I mean, have you ever heard of this where somebody will say to you, "I have to tell you something. Like, I got this message and it's for you, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah, blah."
Right.
Maybe that's what's starting for you when, this ability is that, yeah, for you that you're receiving the message to pass along to that other person.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, I don't know why I didn't go to him directly because he does hear voices on a regular basis. Yeah.
Well, probably because you're still getting used to, like, that there are people out there that you can openly say this stuff to.
Right.
And you probably weren't thinking that you were thinking that there's no way I could say this to him,
Right.
right?
And yeah, and what was weird when I heard it, it was like, "What the hell did I just hear?" Why did it tell me that? I had no idea why,
Yeah. Was that
It
when
was
you were meditating?
yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I meditated, meaning it wasn't, my years of sports and you're doing activities, and if you're on a hike and you're driving your car, you're doing the dishes. I mean, that's kind of a form of meditation because
Right.
it's single track mind and you're just focusing on the one thing. Or, there's different methods of meditation where you're purposely thinking of something, and then there's meditation where you want to completely slow down your thoughts and have like no thought. There's different things. And so I was meditating to to see if I could connect with a spirit guide. And so she said, um, take some breath, like 5 rounds of deep breathing
Mhm.
to slow yourself down, to start, centering, and then surround yourself in a white light, and then imagine that you're in a sacred space. So I picked the Santa Cruz Mountains in this particular area that I used to go to when I was a kid, and I imagined myself sitting up against a redwood tree in a meadow. And so then the directions was to notice um, someone coming towards you, and then what do they look like? You know, it's sort of in an outline. So, whatever experience happens for you is, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, can you see someone? Do they have an outline? Are they solid, or is it just a light? And then do they have a gift for you? Do they have a message for you? This sort of thing, right? Okay. So I went to my sacred space. I sat down against a redwood tree,
Mm.
and all of a sudden, I swear this whole experience was less, it took less than 30 seconds. And also what I did is it when did you ever play sports?
Yeah,
Like, okay, so when you're playing the sport and it's competitive, you're focused.
right.
You're
In that
concentrating.
zone, right.
Yeah. I mean, there could be people cheering or whatever. You're just focusing very strongly, and you tune all that out, and you're tuning into whatever it is. So I imagined that sort of focused, and that type of concentration when I was doing this. And then I saw, like, as if I was somewhere, like it was as if I literally was somewhere else, like as
Mm.
if I was literally in that meadow, and a bear walked in front of me, and then a buck and a deer. So 3 animals walked in front of me, really, and it just happened
Mm.
within 30 seconds of me doing this. And then it kind of took me out, right? Because I was like, whoa. And then right before I was out of it, or meaning like done with this meditation, I realized I heard a man's voice. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I've had this before and didn't realize it.
Mm.
Because, we're so trained on just mostly the 5 physical senses.
Right.
So, yeah, I heard a man's voice say the word guarded. And then, then it's kind of like up to me to decipher it. What does that mean? What does all that mean?
Yeah.
So, then another time I was trying out what was called channel writing. It's kind of like
Okay.
automatic writing,
Right.
but channel writing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my 5 rounds of deep breathing. I sat up on my bed with my pad and my pen, and I was thinking that I'm supposed to think a lot. So I was like thinking about all these things, and what's my dream life look like? I was like taking all these notes of all these different things that were coming to me. And then all of a sudden it was like I ran out. I had a moment of running out of some things to think about. And in that moment, I all of a sudden realized I was hearing a voice. It was a different voice. I think it was actually even a higher vibration. I mean, I mean, not that I think the spirit guide was at a high vibration, but I mean, I think this was even a higher vibration being. And it was like he was sort of mumbly because, and when people talk about tuning in, right? You've heard that expression, tuning
Right.
in, and it is like tuning a radio where you're tuning the radio, and
Mm.
it's like in between the stations where it's like
Right.
you can hear this station and that station, so you're tuning it, and all of a sudden it's really clear.
Right.
And that's like what happened. I was like, this blah, 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 and then I tuned in more, and then it was this voice saying something like, it's heaven, you're going to be all right. And then I was like, whoa, who was that?
Hmm.
So for me, it sounds like there is a microphone in the center of my head. That's where the voice comes from. What about with you?
I hear it like it's uh, like outside, but like right in my ear, like they're talking in my ear. You
So
know,
like if you're holding up your phone
no,
and it's,
like they're right here talking.
oh wow.
Yeah, like it's right in my ear, and yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like the voice that I heard, it wasn't like a soft, beautiful voice. It was if it had said anything else, it probably would have scared the hell out of me because it was like very like uh cracky voice, like a very cracky like
Is it like a
like
man's voice?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely got a man's voice, but it was very cracky, and it
Okay.
was like right in my ear, and I just opened my eyes. I was like, "What the heck was that?"
Oh my God, that's trippy.
But it didn't scare me, like I said, because just I was more tripped out on the message. I'm like, I don't know anybody with that name, you know. But if it had said something like "I'm gonna get you," it probably would have scared me, you know.
Well, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. And I
Well,
guess
yeah,
maybe
the
any
message
voice,
was
you know. Yeah,
was actually a good message.
yeah,
Yeah, right. And
yeah.
so the person that you were talking to, did you not know he had a daughter that was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
name?
yeah, yeah. I knew he
Wow.
had 3 kids, right? I knew he had 3 kids, but we never talk about his daughters because his son plays baseball, so that's what we have in common.
Wow.
I coach baseball, my kids play baseball, so we talk about baseball all the time. So I know his son's name, and but I we never talk about the girls, you know. And I
Mhm.
don't even think he knows my girls' names either, you know. But yeah, I didn't.
Amazing.
Yeah, I didn't. And he said he told his wife about that. And she was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty cool," you know. I was like, "Yeah,
And
well,
they had been sort of um in these moments of concerned about
yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah." Because like I said, she
Wow.
wants to play sports. She wants to band. She's just there in high school. She was like talking about college already. You know, she's a good kid. And they were just like, "Man, what are we gonna do with her? She wants to do all this stuff, and you know, what's what's her future gonna hold?" And not like really like worried about anything bad happening, just worried about how they're gonna uh,
Well, that's
choose
them
a
being helicopter parents.
right, yeah, yeah,
That's for her to
yeah,
decide. No, I'm
yeah.
just joking. But no,
But I mean,
they
yeah, they're worried about her path. Not really worried about it, but make sure she has a good
they're
path.
thinking about it for her. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
I get it.
Yeah,
That's pretty neat. Yeah.
hmm yeah, but he's a good dude too, and like I said, man, he's died twice. Um, when he
Mhm.
was in on the other side, he was walking down. He said he described it as a runway. He said they're like a runway, and he was walking with Jesus. And he said on this side there were people that were like stuck in mud, reaching out for him. They were like really dirty and filthy. And
Hmm.
yeah, he doesn't remember the conversation he had, but he says he just
What
remembers seeing all
what
those
did he
people like
what did Jesus look like?
typical. He was in a robe. He was singing and dancing.
Really?
Yeah, he said he was singing and dancing and kind of like he would ask him questions, and when Jeff would answer, he would like laugh at his answers, and yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That is really interesting.
yeah,
Gosh, I wanna talk to him. Like, I have so
yeah.
many questions right
But
now.
then he also saw some little blobby purple beings, which I hear a lot about too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He
Although
was
they
in,
weren't, well,
like, sounds like he was on the astral realm.
yeah, he may have been there. So he also, when he got shocked back into life, he said that he remembers seeing these little balls of like lightning coming at him, and he says they were like floating. He said they were like coming like so slow, and he's like, "That's gonna hurt." He was thinking to himself, "When he hits me, man, when they hit me, like, he would jump." And he's
Wow.
like, "But they came so slow." And I said, "Well, that's probably with them zapping you." He goes, "I think so."
Wow. Like energy balls?
Yeah, like little balls of lightning coming at him.
Wow. Okay, you know what? I can't help but wonder if Irene is still there. Um, when she was saying she's from Tokyo, and I watched this really amazing documentary on the spirits after the tsunami happened. And there was I don't think he was, he wasn't like a monk, but he was a spiritual leader, or I don't know his title, but a lot of the spirits were coming to him
Mhm.
to have help, to help, to have them um, get to help them go into the light, and to figure out
Okay.
what was going on with them. And I'm wondering if she's ever come upon any of those people that from the tsunami.
Yeah. I don't know if she's still here, but I'm gonna track her down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's really fascinating. So how old were you the first time you had an experience that was a spiritual experience?
What do you mean by spiritual? When I
Like seeing a spirit or anything unusual,
Oh,
supernatural,
I was
full
maybe
paranormal.
closer to maybe 30, 31. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah. That's when we
What was
moved into
going
that
on in
house.
your life at that time? That's really interesting.
So we had moved into this house, and it was the owners of that house were the only owners of that house. They bought it right after World War II. They died in their 90s. I think the gentleman was like 96 when he died. Him and his wife died just a couple years apart. Um, and that house stayed empty for like 5 years. And so we wind up buying it and living there for a while. And uh, that house was just empty, I guess, the whole time. I mean, it even had furniture from them still when we moved in.
Wow. No
Yeah,
way.
yeah, couch. There was like a TV stand. There was a bed. There was two twin beds actually that were there.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, and those beds were just guest beds. No one slept in it, so we left them in there. You know,
Okay.
and
Wow.
yeah, because like I said, they were old and their kids were grown and living on their own, so no one ever used those bedrooms. And so yeah, after we moved in, I mean, immediately, I mean, I wasn't even there a week, and I felt like someone sat down on the bed. I thought it was my dog because I was laying down. I had a boxer, Atlas. I got to tell you about Atlas, and I thought it
Mhm.
was him getting on the bed, and he knew not to get on the bed, so I sat up real quick and I looked, and there was nobody there. And
Whoa.
then a few days later, it happened again. And I walked out into the kitchen and I'm like, this house is haunted. And right away, my kids were like, yeah, oh yeah, it's haunted. They all just in unison. So like, we weren't even there 2 weeks at this time, and they were telling me all these stuff that happened to them, and the footsteps and seeing shadows, and yeah,
Oh my god,
um,
it's like the beginning of the Amityville horror show.
yeah. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad either. It was all
Yeah.
good. We felt that it was just them, the original owners,
Yeah.
and they were just letting us know that they were still there. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of when I was living in Southern California, in 2005 or so, I'm gonna say 2000. No, it was 2007. It was 2007, and it was in a house like minutes from Disneyland. And so that's where I was getting into like learning how to the meditation aspect, sitting still and quieting my mind and, so that I could develop my senses and see what senses I had and the spirit guide experience. And I was sitting on my bed, like Indian style with my just kind of sitting up. And I felt very peaceful and I had the house to myself. And all of a sudden, I felt like a hand very slowly, a hand go on the side of my head like this. Like I could feel like I could feel literally my hair getting gently pushed down like that. It was done in a very gentle way. And I started seeing coins on the floor around the house, a lot by kind of near the front door. One time I was at a time where I was like, I'm going to watch disc 1, season 1. This is when Netflix, where you get the disc, the DVD, and it would get sent to you. It was at that time.
Right.
And I'm going to watch Sex in the City. And so I was really into that. It was definitely, the reruns had already been on for a while, but I hadn't really watched them. So I was getting ready to watch the movie, or, had the TV on, and all of a sudden, I don't know, I went out of the room for a second. I come back, I cannot find the remote. Like it's like vanished. And I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, well, maybe I brought it into the other room with me. So I'm looking in the kitchen, I'm looking in the bathroom, I looked in my bedroom. I looked everywhere. I went back to the family room, couldn't find it. I'm like, this is weird. And then I come back in the room again, and there it is, just sitting right on top of the couch, just clearly out in the open. And I was like, to me, right then, I knew, like, that there was some people. I felt that there was actually a couple, like you talk about. I felt like there was a couple, like a man and a wife. And one of my abilities that when I feel a spirit nearby, is I will feel like tingling in my head and in my shoulders. And near between the coffee table and the TV, it felt like somebody was standing right there.
Right. Yeah.
So that happened. And then I was getting ready to actually, I found this paranormal team to go explore with in Southern California. So I was waiting to get, they were coming to pick me up so we can go to wherever we were going. And I decided to kind of lay down for a second. And so I was laying on my bed, like just kind of straight flat down, like with my head like this. And all of a sudden it was like somebody shook the bed, like, and it kind of started, like it woke me up a little bit, like nothing scary, but it was definitely something doing that. And another time I was meditating, and all of a sudden it was like, I saw the woman standing in my room. Like I saw what she looked like. I was having a lot of these types of experiences in the house. And it, like, it wasn't scary. It was interesting. It was gentle. And then I had my first time where an object appeared out of nowhere. Have you had that yet?
No, but my dad did. That's an interesting story, but if you want to finish your story.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear that. Okay, so I had my parrot. I have a macaw. She has an indoor cage, and then she has an outdoor cage. So her indoor cage was in my room, and I was thinking to myself, should I give her some food now in her cage? There was her bowl was empty. Her food bowl was empty. Should I give her some food now, or should I just wait and take her some food into her outdoor cage before I leave? So I went to the bathroom. I was in the bathroom for like 30 seconds. I come back into the room, and now there is food in her bowl, her pellets. Like it's like halfway full. And I couldn't believe it. It made me kind of second guess myself a little bit. And it was very trippy, because I'm like, I'm the only one in the house. there was no food in the bowl when I left the room, and I come back and now there's food in the bowl. That was
Right.
mind-boggling. And I know that there's other people out there that have had experiences like that.
Right.
I mean, okay, something disappearing and then, returning again.
Right.
The TV remote. Okay, but something literally appearing.
Right.
That and how did they do that? How does that happen? Did they reach into her bag of food? And I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah.
How did it, or is that me manifesting it, right? Because in my studies
Oh,
of
no.
metaphysics and manifestation, did I manifest that somehow? So I don't know. It's
Mhm.
just is some of the things that you think about when you're having, these unusual experiences. So tell me about your dad's
Okay.
experience.
So, uh, several years ago, like I said, he passed away in 2012. But before that, one of my uncles passed away, and my dad, he's a twin. I think I
Sorry
told you
about
that.
your dad, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it was rough. It was rough for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm actually uh, so much better because I realized that he can come around when he wants to. Like,
He's still alive.
yeah. Oh yeah. And
Mhm.
he's proven it too. Uh, but so one of my uncles passed away, brother-in-law, but my dad and him were really close, and so was my uncle, my dad's twin brother. Um, so the suit that my uncle was going to be buried in, they wanted to get a suit like his, you know. So the guy at the funeral home, they were real good friends with him too, and he says, "I'll cut off a piece of the suit, and y'all can go match it, wherever."
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they went to the like men's warehouse or whatever, and they said, "Hey, we want to get a suit like this." And the guy, he comes back with a suit. He says it's not exactly the same, but it's close enough, right? My dad says, "Well, I'm gonna go try it on." He gave the little square cloth to my uncle. Said, "Here, hold this, and don't forget it, because I want to keep it." You know, my
Yeah.
uncle said, "Okay," and so they wind up leaving. They bought the suits, and the store was already closed, and they're going down the freeway. And my dad's like, "Hey, where's that little square suit?" He goes, "Oh shit, I left it over there. I gave it to the guy, and I forgot to get it back from him." And my dad was like, "Damn it, I really wanted it, whatever." And he was like, "Okay, well, I guess it's just lost, right?" Well, like something like 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, my uncle tells me, because he told me this like after my dad passed away. He called and told me. He goes, "Hey, this story." He said, "Yeah, your dad called and told me, hey, remember that little piece of cloth, that we had that I wanted to keep?" And my uncle goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You didn't keep it?" And he goes, "No, I told you I gave it to the guy and I forgot to get it back." And my dad says, "Well, I'm sitting right here looking at it. It was on his dresser."
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. And still, my uncle has that cloth now. He has it in his
Oh,
little
wow.
wooden chest.
Aw.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. That was a good story.
It's so fun when we can have these mystical experiences like that,
Yeah,
I mean, it really makes life more magical to
yeah,
know that this can happen. Like it's, probably in the bigger picture, it's not meant to be such a big deal. Like, yeah, like they're over
mhm.
on the other side going, well, yeah, that's normal. Like you
Yeah,
take that on even more, right? That's what
right,
I started doing was I really wanted to, how can I have like mystical experiences like every day?
right.
And I
I would
wanted
love
to
it.
study and learn like what do you do or what can I be thinking about or what can I not do or whatever. And learning about this kind of stuff when you start having more experiences, it's so fun.
Yeah, yeah. I call it Richard Dreyfussing, like he did in the Close
What do you
Encounters,
call
because
it?
he's like, I said I call it
Oh.
Richard Dreyfussing, because man, I'll get on YouTube, I'll be reading books, I'll be looking on the internet and all this stuff, and trying to get as much information as
I
I
like
can.
that.
Yeah,
As long as you don't start like making mountains with your mashed potatoes. No.
yeah, uh, yeah.
I
I,
tried to
I,
watch that movie recently and I couldn't find it. I was wanting to
hmm,
sort of just see if I could find it on YouTube or
right.
whatever, and I
Hmm.
couldn't find it. Do you have any idea where I could find it?
No, I don't, but I'm gonna look for it tonight. I'm gonna see who's
Okay, yeah.
somebody's got to be streaming it somewhere. I'm sure.
Yeah, let me know if you find it because I've been
Yeah,
wanting to watch that again.
yeah, But we're up on our hour already.
What? Wow, that
Yeah,
went by fast.
that went by fast, man. I want to get you back on this. I've been taking notes as we've been talking. There's like so much stuff we haven't even gotten to. So as you're talking and you're spitting out stuff, I'm writing it down over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I know we didn't
I
really
got a
even, like,
I
talk
got a
about who
notebook full
my
of stuff.
background.
Oh, you can't see it, but there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
yeah, let's do it. We'll do part 2.
yeah, do part two. Yeah. Well, cool. Do you have anything you want to say to the people?
Well, well, listen in for next time. This is, I guess we'll just say, well, this is part 1, and what do I want to say? Hi, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
If you want to, when you post this, you'll post that bio, right?
Right. Yeah. It'll be
Yeah,
in the description, right?
people can learn about some of my background,
Right.
and you can, we didn't really get a chance to talk about that, but that's okay, because you guys can go on my Facebook page, Tricia Brown, Tricia Brown, Brown, Free Spirit. That's my Facebook page. And then I have a group called Paranormal, Spiritual, and Mystical Experiences. And I post um, all my different podcasts that I've been on, the interviews. I'm really into also the Sasquatch thing too. So I post interesting tree structures, or if you go on there too, when I talked about at the very beginning, I talked about that that little video where you can see that there's clearly a being standing by the fire pit. So if you find it, I posted it not long ago. So when you're looking at it, it's at like 30 seconds. It's at about like 30 seconds. And it's at the top um, left side of the screen. And then there it is. And it's like, wow. So, I mean, it's exciting. My experiences with the Sasquatch people have been non-linear. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's like done. It's been in an approach for me, I feel, as they're building the relationship, as in a gentle way, so as not to freak me out. But because if I would have saw those eyes at that time, I'm I'm not sure I would have felt like that comfortable. That might have freaked me out. So I
Right.
think I was meant to not see it until now. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. It's called Exploring the Paranormal with Tricia Brown. And I just started sort of just documenting some of my interesting experiences. And sometimes I'm out hiking, or just kind of sitting like this and rambling to myself. I
Mhm.
have a short guided meditation to help sleep. And then I also post just things that have helped me in my life, like little. I'm going to start posting more of me basically reading clips from books, and things that have helped me in my life, that I want to help people in their lives, like how to deal with others, how to understand the differences between, how do you have how do some people have good experiences that are in the paranormal realm
Yeah.
versus the people who have like the not good experiences, and why, and the metaphysics behind all that. So I've really done that, going down the rabbit hole of all that stuff, because
Mhm.
it's sure more fun when you look up and you see a really amazing experiences, or a really amazing being of light walk by, versus look over and see some creepy dude, or some creepy being that's scary.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want that ever again. So I've done my work on that. So that's what I can say about that.
Well, no, man,
Am I
that's
rambling?
great. No, no, you're great. I just want to say, thanks for joining the show and doing it, man.
Thank you for
I
having me.
yeah, I appreciate it a lot, and yeah, I definitely want to get you back. And everyone
Let's
in
do
the
it.
chat that participated, man, you guys did great as always, and I always
Yeah.
appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you, Irene, for sharing, if you're still out there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where she's at, but I'm gonna find her. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
cool. You have a great night. Hold on, real quick. You have a
Yeah.
great night, and man,
Thank
we'll
you.
stay in touch.
Sounds good. Happy Friday.
Happy